Hey peoples of YouTube, today we are going to be remaking another fairy tale in Minecraft. Today's fairy tale is going to be Rapunzel. So, without further ado, hope you enjoy. Once upon a time, there was a couple who lived very, very happily in their little mini house inside of their little mini village, having a very, very nice little mini life. However, this little mini house was right outside of a garden. A very spectacular garden, might I add, that was owned by a witch. Everybody was afraid of this witch. Horrifying witch, you know? However, even knowing that the garden was completely off limits, the wife would stare out of the window every day and would sit there sadly staring at the lettuce. The lettuce. Being all like, tasty lettuce. And she stared at the lettuce for so long, longing for it so much, that she soon began to get very, very sick. And her husband was all like, "Oh no, you look so sick and weak. Is there anything I can do to help?" And she's all like, "You know, if I don't get some of that lettuce, I will die." And he was all like, "Okay then, Pog." And so, at dusk, the husband snuck into the witch's garden, believing that, well, I mean, if my wife's gonna die, no point in life, eh? And if I get lettuce and don't die, then I guess me and my wife would live. If I go get lettuce and I die because of the witch, well, you know what? I would have died anyway because my wife would have died, and then I would have died because people are like hopeless romantics and fairy tales, apparently. Anyways, he just like strolled into the witch's garden, grabbed himself some nice lettuce, and was all like, "Pog, I have lettuce now." And then he just skedaddled out of the garden. He definitely went back to his house. 100% went back to house. Nothing happened, just went back to the house. And he went back into his house and gave his wife the lettuce, and they were so happy because lettuce, yippee, it was the tastiest lettuce they've ever had. It was great. The next day, the wife looked back out at the lettuce garden again and was all like, that lettuce was sure tasty, and told her husband once again that she must have the lettuce or she would die. And once again, the husband went, hug. And so, at dusk in the next night, he strolled right back into the witch's garden, being all like, "Oh ho 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 ho, time to get us some more lettuce." However, no sooner had he picked the lettuce did he see the witch. She, like, just strolled into the garden and was all like, "Excuse me, princess, what do you think you're doing inside of my garden?" And he was all like, "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Witch, miss. I'm so sorry." And she was all like, "Sorry doesn't cut it. That is my prime lettuce. However, I will consider letting you live your life in peace if you give me your firstborn daughter that your wife will soon birth." That is definitely a verb. And the husband, who was like panicking because, you know, it's an honest to goodness witch, he was all like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever." And so time came to pass, and the two lovers eventually had a child, which the witch was all like, "Goody, my child now," and took. The witch named the girl Rapunzel, because Rapunzel is apparently another way to say lettuce inside of the country that the witch and the girl are from. So, yeah, this is lettuce. Say hi, lettuce. Anyways, when lettuce reached 12 years of age, the witch decided that, you know it's a great way to raise a child? Let's just lock them inside of a tower. And so the witch locked poor lettuce here inside of a tower and was just like, "This is great. Gotta love it." Since the tower had no doors or stairs, every time that the witch wanted to visit sweet lettuce, which was every single evening, she had to call out, "Lettuce, let down your hair." And lettuce would let down their hair, and the witch would climb right on up and just hang out with her daughter. However, one day, as a prince was just strolling along in the woods, he heard the most beautiful singing he had ever heard, coming from the tower, because lettuce would get so awfully lonely during the days that they would just sing, and because apparently that's just a pastime, that just works. Well, they sang. It was great. And the prince was enchanted by this voice and sought all around the tower to try to find out how to get up. Alas, he could find no way. And so he went to go mope behind a tree, because that's what you do when you're sad. Then, while the prince was moping behind a tree, all of a sudden the witch came up, and she called out, let us let down your hair," and since Lettuce's hair was already out, it really was just the witch climbing up. But that inspired the prince, for he was all like, "Oh my goodness gracious, this is the trick, this is the way." And so later that night, the witch left the tower, leaving the prince ever so happy because he had finally found a way to meet the mysterious songstress. So the prince waited till the next day because even fairy tale princes have to acknowledge that bursting into someone's house in the middle of the night is a bit weird. But he strolled up the next day and was all like, let us let down your hair, and let us let down their hair." Because apparently Lettuce can't tell the difference between a witch's voice and a prince's voice. Okay, we just move on from that. And then he scurried up the hair, because apparently there's a skill that's like every single fairy tale person has, just scurrying up hair of all things. And so the prince climbed up Lettuce's hair right into their tower and was all like, "Hello there." And at first, Lettuce was incredibly concerned because, this is not the witch. This is not the witch, and in the fairy tale, Lettuce is only 12 years old. So, like, they're pretty darned concerned. Like, when you're home alone and someone, like, rings the doorbell trying to drop off a package? Try that, but then the delivery guy just, like, bursts into your home like, "Hello, FedEx delivery." Anyway, this is about what's going on in Lettuce's mind. However, this is a fairy tale, so Lettuce doesn't mind. And they just talk and talk and talk, and Lettuce falls so deeply in love with the prince, age gap, that when he proposes marriage to her, what is wrong with these fairy tale people, she just accepts. Yay! However, then she's kind of just like, well, how am I supposed to get down? Because, like, this is my hair. It is definitely attached to my head. I cannot exactly get down. And the prince was all like, "No problemo. I'm sure we can find a way." Although he doesn't exactly have any brains, so it is Lettuce who comes up with the amazing idea. "What if you just bring some silk every single time you come to visit me, and I'll braid a ladder?" And he's all just like, "Pog, that'll work." And so the plan was set. However, the plan was ruined when several evenings later, the witch came to see Lettuce, and Lettuce accidentally let slip, "Oh dear mother, why is it that hauling you up into the tower is so much harder than hauling the prince up into the tower? He's so light and you're so heavy. I mean, roasted. Wow, why are you so mean to your mother, Lettuce?" But then, of course, the mother, only slightly offended by that little insult, was all like, "Oh my goodness gracious, you have a secret lover? This cannot be true." And so the witch hauled Lettuce off into the middle of nowhere in a desert and was all like, "This is your home now. This is your punishment for having a secret lover." Ah! The next day, the prince came up to the tower and called up, Lettuce, let down your hair." And the witch, being all like, "Ha ha ha, time to get revenge," yeeted down the braids that she had chopped off the head of Lettuce. And the prince, thinking that nothing was wrong, just scurried right on up the Lettuce's dead hair, because that's just what you do. However, when the prince had climbed into the tower, there was no Lettuce, there was just the witch. And the witch was all like, "You shall never see Lettuce again! Mwahahaha!" Upon hearing this news, the prince became so sad that he just threw himself out of the window onto the ground. Sadness. However, he survived at the bottom, and he pricked out his eyeballs on the thorns. What is wrong with this fairy tale? Oh my goodness gracious. The Brothers Grimm were not called Grimm for no reason. Anyways, then the prince stumbled around blind and bleeding and all just like, "Oh no, the love of my life," and he wandered around super depressed espresso like that for quite some time. However, the prince eventually stumbled so far in his blind, saddened state that he eventually stumbled into the desert where Lettuce happened to live. Because apparently the witch just kind of abandoned Lettuce now. I wonder what the witch is doing right now. Probably having a coffee or something, contemplating how terrible their daughter was that they never told them about their secret love. Moving on. Anyways, he met up with Lettuce, and Lettuce was like, oh no, you're blind, oh how devastating, and she cried tears of sadness, which somehow magically healed the eyes of the prince. This is great, and now they are together forever. He can see she is still way too young for him. This is a great story. Anyways, then they skipped off into the sunset together to rule the prince's kingdom together. Yippee! Well, that fairy tale was absolutely wonderful. What's a good fairy tale without a little bit of blindness, some magical tears, somebody jumping out of a tower, and being thrown away inside of a desert forever onwards? Well, that is it for the Grimm Brothers version of Rapunzel. Hope you guys have a great day.